In this unit, we're going to take a look at what are called series and sequences. A sequence is a list of numbers, and typically there's a pattern with this list of numbers. If the pattern happens to be that there's a common difference, or you're adding the same amount to each term to get the next term, it's what's called an arithmetic sequence. The common difference is what you're adding to each term. So if we look at our first example, 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 3 is 10, and so on. So the common difference would be 3, and this would qualify as an arithmetic sequence. There are two types of formulas for the arithmetic sequence. The first is a recursive formula, and that's when you need to know the previous term in order to know the next term. So let's take a look at how to read this formula. So first of all, right here, t sub 1, the subscript tells you which term in the sequence you are looking at. So t sub 1 would be the first term. The second part of the recursive formula, t sub n, or the nth term, equals, this would be the previous term, plus the common difference. So that's kind of what we were doing with our example here. We took the first term, added 3 to get the second term, added 3 to get the third term, and so on. So the recursive formula is convenient if you only need to know the first few terms, or if you're finding the next term or the next few terms. But if you are looking for the 25th term in the sequence, the recursive formula isn't really convenient because you have to find or list out the first 24 terms before you get to the 25th term. So that's when we would use our explicit formula instead. The explicit formula you can use to find any term in the sequence if you know the first term and the common difference. So again, here we've got our first term plus the common difference times the quantity n minus 1. Now when we write our formula, n will be the variable because that will change depending on which term in the sequence we're looking for. So we'll see how to use that in a little bit. First thing we're going to do is take a look at how to identify whether or not a sequence is arithmetic. So in our first example, we take a look at what we are adding or subtracting between terms to see if it's the same thing. So negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8, minus 4 is negative 12, minus 4 is negative 16. We're subtracting or adding negative 4, the same amount every time. So this is arithmetic. Our common difference is negative 4. And then to find the next three terms, we would use the recursive formula. It makes a lot more sense. We're just going to keep subtracting 4 to get the next three terms. 28. Let's try that. All right, so our second example here, we figure out what we are adding. Plus 3, plus 5, plus 7. So there's definitely a pattern for this sequence, and we could easily find the next three terms, but it's not arithmetic because we do not have a common difference. Now we're going to take a look at explicitly using the recursive formula. Pretty straightforward. You're given the first term in the sequence, so we're just going to put that down for term 1. To find, for example, term 2, we take term 1 plus 4. That's our common difference. To find term 3, we take equals term 2 plus 4. Add 4 again to get the fourth term. So as I mentioned, the recursive formula, you just keep adding that common difference to find the next term. In the last example for this video, we're going to take a look at the explicit formula, which again, as I mentioned, is much more helpful than that recursive formula. So we start with the recursive formula is t sub n equals t sub 1 plus the common difference times n minus 1, quantity n minus 1. So to find the nth term, we take the first term plus the common difference, which in this case is 4, times the quantity n minus 1. And again, n is going to be a variable because we don't know which term we're looking for. So we distribute that 4 and combine our like terms to simplify our formula. So in order to find the 50th term, I just substitute 50 for n, so t sub 50, the 50th term, equals 4 times 50 minus 2. 4 times 50 is 200, minus 2 is 198.